What's up, guys? Welcome back to this channel. I am your host, and on this episode we are going to be talking about how should you, a small business owner, be paying yourself. Salary, dividend, draw, set up as an S corp although you have a flow through as an LLC. I'll get into all that. Stay tuned. Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to this channel. My name is Justin Colby and I am the host, talking all things business, real estate, as well as entrepreneurship. And on today, we are gonna be talking about profits. Everyone is in business for profit, so let's talk about the best ways you can pay yourself and what I would suggest, or at least what I am set up on to make sure that I am paying my taxes, but I'm paying as little amount of taxes as possible. So first of all, you got to ask yourself how you want to elect to be taxed. You actually have a choice. You can set up your business as an LLC, and it's a single member LLC, and how that looks if you are not set up as an S corp managing member of an LLC. If it's just you, that LLC, all of that revenue is actually looked upon as your own income, and you're taxed as such. Now, before we go any further, let's be very clear, people. I am not a licensed accountant. I do spend a lot of money on one, but I am not. And this is not tax advice. This is just my thoughts on how I've structured my business, and hopefully that can be helpful to you. So, as I've mentioned, if you do not set yourself up as an S corp LLC, then you're actually going to be taxed on all of the income that comes in. Now, here's a big challenge with that. While it's totally legal, and I know it sounds like the challenge is taxes, which they are, the thing that most entrepreneurs do and small business owners do is they take all the money. You see, they think, well, if it's going to be taxed, I should take it, right? Now, in concept, yes, and it is your money to take. However, the challenge that most business owners don't realize is they don't have the financial literacy or understanding to think through the operational cost, overhead, as well as growth of their business. So they take all their money, and when it comes time to, spend money on marketing, acquire new clients, maybe even travel or take a client out to dinner, there's no money left in the account to actually do these things. You took all the money and you drained the account. So when it's time to pay rent or anything else, there's no money left to do so. It can be very challenging and very tricky. Now, I would really recommend, regardless of how I've set up my business and how I kind of suggest for people to be setting up their business, you talk to your accountant. Very important. I highly suggest that. If you could please do me a favor, smash the like button for me. I'd really appreciate it. It helps the YouTube gods shine light on this channel, and that would really help me. I appreciate that. So obviously, as you can tell, I have set up an LLC as a flow through into an S corporation. So what does that mean? Well, my LLC quite literally is a flow through. There's not a whole lot there. The money goes into it, but then it flows directly into the S corporation. The S corporation pays me a salary plus distributions, or some people will call them dividends. The semantics are irrelevant, but it is set up that way very specifically because by tax law, at least, I do have to pay myself what is called a reasonable salary. Now, you might ask, what is reasonable? And if you're making $1 million in revenue and you have $1 million to pay into a S corporation, should you be taking $1 million in salary? I would encourage you not to. Can you take $10,000 in salary and pay yourself $990,000 in distribution? I'd also encourage you not to. Again, talk to your accountant. However, this ability to do an S corp managing member of a LLC is really just a tax play. You see, now I, Justin Colby, am not taxed on 100% of the revenue that comes in through the LLC. I am ultimately taxed on what comes into the S corp, and then also I am taxed on the salary I'm taking from my S corp, not necessarily the distributions. The distributions are not subject to the self-employment tax, so I actually have some savings by giving myself a higher distribution, or dividend if you will, than I will by giving myself a salary. My salary is taxed on self-employment tax. So when it's all said and done, this structure for me saves me roughly about 15% in taxes. Now, as with anything, I mentioned this previously, but I want to do a little deeper dive here. Smash the like button. Now, in all seriousness, I want to talk to you guys about how you allocate money. Again, even if you set yourself up as a S Corp managing member of an LLC or a corporation managing that LLC, I do not encourage you to take all the money off the table, as your business needs viability to grow. So I would really encourage you to have a minimum of 3 months cash in your LLC account to make sure that in times that you may need it, in crunch time, you're able to float for 3 months to pay all of the operational cost. I can't tell you what that number would be, but you need to understand enough of your numbers to realize, how much are any other salaries for the LLC, how much is your office rent, etc., etc. And you want to have at least 3 months worth of cash in that LLC bank account in case of a rainy day. I would also set aside a decent amount of money for growth. You see, we're all entrepreneurs and we don't just want to do okay or be okay. We want to grow and continue to get more revenue in through the door so our income can actually increase as well. So I'd highly encourage you to set aside enough money. For example, if I spend $10,000 in marketing each and every month, as an easy example for numbers, I want to make sure I probably have roughly $30,000 in my bank account on top of, let's just say, the other $30,000 that will cover operational expenses. I want another $30,000 in there for the opportunity to grow and start to generate more clientele, more business, and ultimately more revenue. That is how I set up my business. So I set aside a decent amount of cash so that I don't pull out of the LLC before it goes to my S Corp. If you're liking this information, it's resonating with you, make sure you're smashing that like button. And if you haven't yet, make sure you subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. Now, the thing that is very difficult for myself and many entrepreneurs is making sure you account for the taxes that you're going to pay from the dividend or the distribution. I actually also pay a bookkeeper to make sure that I am setting aside enough money from that distribution that I can account for what is the projected taxation on the money that I pull. Now remember, I'm saving some money by not being taxed on self-employment tax, but nonetheless, I'm gonna get taxed on that money and I need to pay up. So I also pay a bookkeeper to make sure I'm in alignment, so at the end of the year, I don't take on this massive tax bill. There may be something left over because it's not exactly a perfect science, but I'm paying my taxes throughout the year, and that way at the end of the year I should be as close to paid in full as possible because I make sure I allocate enough from the dividend I pulled, remember not the salary but the dividend, that I can pay each and every month. So as I mentioned, how I'm set up is I have an LLC and I have a managing member, which is an S Corp. My S Corp ultimately has money flow through the LLC to it. The S Corp then pays me a salary plus dividend. Again, you're going to talk to your accountant about what you believe is a reasonable salary. It can't be $10,000. I definitely wouldn't suggest it being $1 million per se. You want to make sure you two are on the same page. One thing that is very true is entrepreneurs a lot of times sacrifice their own pay to keep their business running. Now, while I would encourage you to do that on the front end of your journey as an entrepreneur, make sure that you're generating enough revenue, that you have money in your account, that you feel safe to start to allocate money to pay yourself a salary or distribution. I also want to make sure that you focus on paying yourself so you can pay your bills, so you can live a nice life. There's a great book I highly encourage you guys to read for all entrepreneurs, and it's not a boring tax book either. It's called Profit First. It's an incredible book. I encourage you to go out and read it. download the Audible version of it, or however you read these books. He is going to teach you, Mike Malkovich, incredible, brilliant business mind, is going to teach you about 5 different bank accounts and how to set them all up. So you have a CapEx account, you have a profit account, you have an operating account, etc., and how to set them up so that your business, quite literally monthly, is allocating money to each one of these so that you make sure that you have enough money for all things, and most importantly, yourself. Too many entrepreneurs, too many small business owners forget about that. They hustle, they grind, they stack chips because they're so scared that they're gonna go out of business that they don't pay themselves first. You got to make sure you pay yourself first. On the other side of that coin, there are some entrepreneurs that pay themselves every dollar out of the business. I mentioned this earlier on the video. Please go read or listen to Profit First if you are currently doing that. It is no way to run a business. You want to make sure that you have operating cash in your bank at every moment. Like I've said, 3 months minimum. You also want to make sure you have a growth account, basically, so that you can allocate more money to get more clientele, however that looks for you. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope this made a lot of sense. If you have any questions at all, make sure to comment them below. Smash that like button for me. And if you are interested in real estate investing and would like a little more guidance there, make sure to go to thescienceofflipping.com. There are a ton of free resources there, as well as you can actually jump on a call with me or some of my team to see if we can help answer further questions. I hope this finds you well and healthy. I'll see you guys on the next video. Peace.